Welcome to today's Explainer. We have a truly fascinating one for you today. We're going to be unpacking a philosophical lecture that completely redefines the purpose of religious institutions, the nature of prayer, and honestly, the entire concept of human agency. If you've ever felt like your relationship with spirituality, or even just how you deal with life's major curveballs, was a bit of a one-way street, you're going to want to hear this. The source material we are diving into today offers a radical, modern framework that takes that old dynamic and flips it entirely on its head. But right off the bat, before we get into the weeds, I want you to ask yourself a very simple, yet pretty profound question. What are you praying to get? Seriously, have you ever prayed just to ask for something? Maybe it was to pass a tough exam, get that promotion at work, cure an illness, or honestly, just catch a lucky break. It's a nearly universal human experience, right? Looking up at asking for a favor when things get rough. Well, the lecture we're examining today argues that this specific transactional approach to prayer is actually completely obsolete. Which brings us to our first point, the paradigm shift of prayer. According to the source material, the era of relying on divine intervention to just magically grant our wishes, that is fundamentally over. We are looking at a massive shift in how humanity is expected to interact with the universe. Basically, we're moving away from these older methods that were largely based on begging, relying on miracles and acting subservient to a higher power in this sort of parent-child dynamic. Instead, this new era demands human agency and active discussion. Rather than begging for a miracle, we are now expected to simply report our own human-made decisions to the divine. The argument here is that humanity has evolved, and because of that, our spiritual methods absolutely have to evolve too. And the source actually pinpoints a specific year for this turning point, 2013. It argues that this was the dawn of a brand new era of human-led management. Now, obviously, a transition like this takes time, but the core message is that since 2013, the old rules of just walking into a temple or church and begging for your problems to vanish, they just don't work anymore. It's like the universe essentially updated its operating system. And get this, the speaker makes a really provocative claim here. They state that merely asking the divine to fix your problems without actually putting in personal effort or taking accountability is now considered a punishable offense in this framework. So you aren't just going to be ignored, you're actually going to face pushback. The days of treating the divine like a cosmic vending machine are officially over. So let's look at part 2, the true meaning of religious facilities. You're probably wondering, well, if we aren't supposed to go to a church or a temple to ask for favors, why do these massive institutions even exist in the first place? This lecture offers a pretty radical reinterpretation. It breaks down the literal etymology of the word church based on its original linguistic roots. It turns out, it was always meant to be a gathering place for education and communal meetings. It translates essentially to a place to receive teachings and gather for discussion. It is not, and the source argues it never truly was, meant to be a place to blindly ask for handouts. It's supposed to be a forum for human collaboration and learning the real principles of life. And naturally, this completely redefines the people running these facilities. Religious leaders, whether we're talking about pastors, monks, or spiritual teachers, are there to guide you to the root causes of your pain. They are not there to perform magic tricks or miracles for you. If you're suffering, their strict role is to help you study life's principles and figure out why you are in pain, so you can untangle the mess yourself. Think of them as educators and facilitators, not magicians. Moving on to part 3, the process of finding answers yourself. Okay, so if we can't just beg for our problems to disappear and our leaders can only guide us, how exactly are we supposed to handle life's inevitable hardships? How do we find these answers ourselves? Well, the source outlines a very structured 4-step game plan for tackling adversity, and it shifts the responsibility entirely onto human collaboration and self-reflection. Step 1, acknowledge the problem. Don't hide from it. Step 2, gather and discuss the issue with your peers or family. Step 3, find the root cause through that open discussion. And step 4, make a firm resolution on how you, personally, are going to change your behavior. Notice what's missing? Ask for a miracle is literally nowhere on that list. But how exactly do we nail step 3, finding that root cause? The lecture posits that things like illness or financial ruin don't just happen out of nowhere. It's an active signal from the universe. It's a wake-up call to look at your surroundings, spot where your relationships are broken, or realize where you've ignored the people around you or neglected to study life's principles. Pain is really just a symptom. The actual disease is usually a breakdown in human connection or your own personal growth. A huge takeaway here is that human evolution requires discussing issues with your neighbors rather than living subserviently. Humanity has just evolved too far. Our minds are way too developed now for us to just sit around as passive subjects waiting for a divine rescue. We absolutely must respect those around us, communicate, and collaborate to find solutions. The framework suggests that when humans put in the work to collaborate and resolve their issues, divine help naturally follows as a byproduct, not as the primary handout. Which brings us to our fourth and final section, the correct way to pray. So once you've put in the sweat equity, once you've discussed things with your peers, found the root cause, and made a solid plan, we finally reach the actual act of praying under this new paradigm. The source draws a sharp contrast between wrong prayers and right prayers. It argues that for centuries, religious institutions attracted people with the promise of wrong prayers, promising candy, bread, curing illness, or passing exams, really just to get bodies in the door. But correct prayer? That is entirely about asking for the strength and guidance to manage your energy after you've done the hard work. It's all about reporting your resolutions. In this framework, prayer is redefined as a specific concept, often translated as a final report or a vow. It's basically an executive summary made to the divine. It's you standing up and saying, hey, we acknowledged our problem, we talked it out, we found out where we went wrong, and here is our resolution to fix it. Please give us the energy to execute this plan properly. It's like you're asking for fuel to drive the car, but make no mistake, you are absolutely the one steering the wheel. And because prayer is just a report of your own righteous collaborative actions, the lecture makes a really beautiful assertion. The place you stand, doing righteous work, is your sanctuary. You don't even need to commute to a physical temple or church to connect with the divine. If you are having a productive, healing discussion with your family, right in your living room, guess what? That living room becomes a holy place. If you're working out community issues in your town is the sanctuary. The divine is literally everywhere that human effort and righteous resolution exist. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this to chew on, regarding your own personal growth and agency. When you face a hardship, when you're desperate for answers, are you begging or are you helping yourself? Are you just waiting around for a miracle, or are you actively discussing, finding those root causes, and making a real plan? According to the source we explored today, the universe is just waiting for you to take the lead. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this provided a fascinating new lens through which to view your own personal responsibility. See you next time.